Hello everyone, today I'm painting a scene. Right, so the first thing I did creating this was I had a few photographs that I had taken of Seaport where I'm going to be painting over a few years actually. And one of them was based scene with this tractor, the fisherman, bringing his catch in. There's a few things about it that I didn't think really worked that well. And my main concern was the sea. In the picture, for my liking, it's way too far out. So I got this picture that the same scene, similar lighting. It was definitely taken in the morning. But I figured, yeah, a little bit more sea. I preferred the lighting on the sea at the moment. You can see that it's reflecting some of the sky, and it's generally looking more how I envisage the scene of having that brighter morning sunshine coming from the east. So yeah, very simply in Photoshop, all I wanted to do, I didn't want to have an actual finished photograph that would work perfectly. But what I wanted was to see what the elements look like together. So just quite simply, just editing in Photoshop, just so I could overlay one or two of the items. The other part that I wanted to take a look at was the sky as well. The photograph that we've got here of the sea, the sky being that just plain graduation of blue, in my mind, it wasn't really very interesting. It's lovely, it's fantastic to look at, fantastic to be there, but for what I wanted the painting to achieve, that's not what I was looking for. So yeah, just add in this the sky of these clouds. I figured this part here, this is kind of more how I imagine the finished painting to look. But still, the sea was, now I've got this to this stage, it's still troubling me. The sea seems to be, well, about to wash everyone away. So even though I still like what the actual sea looks like with this reflection, rather than what I've got here. It's the sea looks kind of very murky, very very silt laden. One thing's out where we are at Sea Palling, the sand is really fine. It's lovely to walk on, but it does get churned up in the sea quite a lot, especially inside these reefs. You can see in the background there's these like stone reefs that they're there just as a sea defence. But they seem to do a great job of keeping the sand on the beach and not eroding the shore, but they seem to make the sea churn up a lot of the silt. It's looking quite murky like that. So here we go. What I've got is, this is a MDF panel which I've just primed, so it's really smooth. And not my normal surface, even though I've used it a couple of times. I much prefer now to either have a canvas or linen, something with a bit more of a texture. But it's always good to try something new. So it's fairly heavyweight, I think 9mm, 12mm MDF panel with just a primer on there. And then I've put just a wash of burnt umber and Gamsol, this was, left it overnight, and here we come back to a quick sketch of the different elements that need to be on the picture. And started with, I figured, start at the back, start with the sky, and just block it all in and get a starting point from that point of view. So what I think I'll do with this video is not talk too much, just chirping when I see something that is kind of appropriate to think of. Again, starting at the back, so here I blocked in the colour of the sea, If you notice from the photograph that my reference photograph that I mentioned about how dirty and sandy or silty the sea looks in it, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted more of an idea of what the sea would look like from the sea variation that was really close into the tractor and coast, but I didn't want that as the final thing. So it's almost mixing two things in my mind here, and I've just got a series of photographs off screen that I'm kind of referring back to just as a kind of reference, with the general layout being the main composition that I did in Photoshop. So we go, as I said, working from the back, put some of the main elements in the front in and working forwards. This was over the course of, I was just doing a sitting every now and again. So maybe an hour one day, half hour another day. But what I've done now is spent a little bit more time on the sky, just blocking in, just getting those cloud formations in there. And then quite a long time doing the sea, and now we come to all the different bits of little stones and pebbles and what have you on the beach. There's quite a few dog walkers, so there's lots of footprints on this part of the coast. When it's, depending on what part it is, what part of the year it is, the sea doesn't always come very high up. When it's high tide, it'll come right up past where the tractor is at the moment, and right up onto the flood defence, or the sea defences, I should say. And what I'm doing now is, it's kind of a tarmac that is put down there, because there's a lifeboat station literally behind where we're standing, as it were, where we're looking, and they've put all this tarmac in and some rocks in there to be able to launch the lifeboats into the sea. But a lot of the year, especially in the summer, you can't see it at all. This is all covered by sand. And it's amazing the power of the sea, how it can move thousands and thousands of tons of sand from one day to the next. And sometimes the sand will be probably a metre or maybe 2 meters down from where it is at its highest point. It's incredible. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get all of the little notches, little bits of sand and bits of grit that's in this tarmac, but I don't want to create too much almost visual noise. Just want to have the idea of it all being there, but without it all being there, as it were. So I'm taking a bit of time to actually go over all that. And my idea was trying this in a few passes. So what I'm going to do is use relatively one colour just to create the base point of all of these bits of sand, etc. And then I'll use a glaze over the top that will knock it all back, so it's not quite as noisy. So one problem with doing this is it creates such a lot of visual noise in the foreground of the painting. It detracts from everything else. And really what I was actually trying to get is that light, that morning light that we get in this part of the world. You can see later if we achieve that or not. So I'm going over with almost a dry brush kind of glaze to knock back a few areas and highlight a few areas. So this part here is just highlighting a part of this big lump of granite that's wedged into the sand. As you can see, I've added in some more shadows on this bottom left hand side and lots of footprints, and the different tracks going back into the sea where the tractor and the boat have come from. And spending more time just getting this part of the painting to a finished state, so it's not distracting to my eye when I come back and work on the tractor and parts of the boat. And this is absolutely part of the painting that I don't want the eye to be drawn to too much. I want it just to be there. So the brushes I'm using, they're a hog bristle brush. They're perfect for oil painting, especially when you're doing this kind of like almost dry brush work. If you use, what I've found is if you use a synthetic brush, it can quickly, especially if you're doing it over dried oil paint, it can really wreck a synthetic brush bristle. Whereas these hog bristles, they seem to be a little bit more robust, so they're able to take that. So the fisherman that is pictured in this, I've not spoken to him myself, although a few friends know who he is and I've spoken to him. And when I finished this, I shared this on, I think it was on my Facebook or in my Instagram, and the chap found out about it, and luckily, or very graciously, he thought it was just a wonderful painting. And he can remember back to kind of when he was fishing on that boat and where it was. This was going back a few years now. Not when I did the painting, but when I started taking some of the reference photographs. So I think we're going back to 2017, 2018. More time just slowly working on this, going over all of those what were very bright point highlights, and now with the glaze over the top, they're there but they're not as visible. So it takes away from that, as I was saying, this noise of the image, where we don't want that. We want to be able to focus on the main part, which is the tractor and the fishing boat and the sea and the sky and the general lighting. So kind of interestingly, what happens in this part of the world is, especially in the evening, maybe not so much in the morning, but definitely in the evening, the light is very pink. So it makes the sand look really pink. It makes the surf on the sea look really pink as well. So it's a little bit evident in the morning, but not so much as it is in the evening. So I've stepped forward another few sessions and done lots of detail on the boat. I really enjoyed doing text. I mean, this is one of the text aficionados there. It looks like some kind of version of Helvetica or some kind of Swiss font. And so that was enjoyable to do. Also getting the size of the boat. This very, very deep blue. But again, the sun highlighting it. And then just basically going over, finishing up little parts of the tractor, add in the little weathered elements, and then it's complete. So there we have it. After a few hours, we've got the final painting. It's something that I really enjoyed doing, and I think I'll let you be the judge of it. What I really wanted to do was try to capture that light coming from the east, so the right-hand side of this picture, and then the tractor, the sea and the sky and everything else like that. Really enjoyed it. Hope you like it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye now.